So for Muslim law, from Unit 5, there is another concept which we have that we will be discussing. Okay, it is basically a legislation that we have, Family Courts Act 1984. Okay. Then we also have this provision with regard to Uniform Civil Code. So Uniform Civil Code or UCC, it is provisions are being given under Article 44 of Constitution. So Article 44 is coming from Part 4 of Constitution, right? So we have like two different parts, Part 3 and Part 4. Part 3 is fundamental rights, which are binding on the state, right? They need to provide it, it is guaranteed to us. But with regard to this Part 4, right, these are not guaranteed to us, but these are only some guidelines or directions given to the state that whenever you are introducing a legislation, whenever you are introducing a scheme, you need to keep these principles in mind, and accordingly you need to try to introduce the legislation or scheme, right? So because these things are not binding, because it involves lot of resources and stuff, this discretion is given to the government, and whenever you can, you try to implement these principles. All right, so UCC is also falling under that directive principles only, which is not binding. We cannot go to court, file a case for Uniform Civil Code, right, for bringing of Uniform Civil Code, but it is something that government would try to introduce based on availability of resources and other stuff, right? So it's been so many years, but still there is no, like proper step being taken with regard to introduction of Uniform Civil Code. But if you look at this 2019 Lok Sabha election manifesto, I have added this link also. There they have mentioned, right, BJP has mentioned or promised that they will be implementing Uniform Civil Code if they come to power, and accordingly they will like take actions with regard to it, right? So might be we can see some legislations coming in and stuff, but yeah, this is the link for the manifesto where they clearly mentioned that it's like high time that we have one uniform law for personal matters as well, and accordingly that should be introduced with regard to it, right? Then objectives of this Article 44 DPSP, it was mainly addressed so that there is discrimination against vulnerable groups can be reduced. There is one law which is applied to all, and same sort of rights or privileges are being enjoyed by all the people. It was incorporated in Constitution as an aspect that would fulfill. So whenever basically the state is able or state thinks it fit, they can accordingly introduce it like that it was basically introduced. Now, origin of Uniform Civil Code. While discussing property law, we saw, right, that when Britishers came, they took active part in legal matters in India. But they said that let these personal matters be decided how they were already decided, like let the religion of the person decide what laws will be applicable, but they only tried to introduce laws with regard to these other criminal matters and stuff, right? Those matters they had introduced legislations, but personal matters they left it to the like religion of the person basically. So accordingly, this Uniform Civil Code was lacking from that time until now we don't have it. But with regard to Goa, there a lot of matters are for lot of matters, right? They have like legislation based on that it is decided irrespective of religion of the person. Okay, there might be few things wherein all personal laws are involved, but otherwise they have like a Uniform Civil Code. Okay, as compared to rest of India, they are having provisions with regard to it. So origin, it just started because British government did not interfere in terms of this family matters, and they allowed that whatever personal laws are there, that only can be applied. So this thing still is continuing, and we do not have like a uniform code except for Goa. So why uniform civil code is needed? Because everyone will be getting same kind of rights, right? Based on religion of the person, matter will be not decided. Like in case of Muslims, they can marry up to 4 wives, right? In case of Hindus also, initially it was allowed, right? That they can have 2, 3 wives, but now it is not allowed. So once uniform civil code is introduced, it will have like same sort of laws for all, right? Like until few years, we were having this triple talaq in case of Muslims, right? So those things also will be removed completely if uniform civil code is being introduced. Similarly, there was this case also, Muhammad Ahmed Khan versus Shahbanu Begum, which is like a very popular case under Muslim law, which relates to this 125 I said, right? Section 125 of CRPC. So it is related to that section itself, right? So there was this Muslim woman, Shahbanu, and she was married to one advocate in Indore, Madhya Pradesh. Okay, she was married to this person for 14 years and they had 5 children from that marriage. After 14 years, he got married to another woman because it is allowed in Muslim law to have up to 4 wives, right? So both, he was having like both the wives. But after many years, right, when she was about 62 years old, he divorced her, all right? And she was not having any sort of, like resources herself. So her husband said that I will be giving you like 200 rupees maintenance to look after yourself and also the children. So I will be giving you 200 rupees maintenance every single year. But after a certain duration, he stopped giving that maintenance also. Okay, and then she filed the case in the court saying that she should be getting maintenance of 500 rupees because she need to take care of herself, her children and stuff. So she should be getting 500 rupees maintenance under that section 125 of CRPC. All right, then she approached the lower court. They said that, okay, fine, you are, like, they told the husband that you give her 25 rupees as maintenance. She filed an appeal in the High Court. High Court said that, okay, fine, you give some 179 rupees to her. But then she finally approached Supreme Court, and Supreme Court said that this section 125, which we have, right, from CRPC, that provision is not, like with respect to any specific religion, it is open for all. So under section 125, it was ordered that her husband should be giving her maintenance based on that section, right? Accordingly, that section was made applicable. And then there were times where other people also filed cases to ask for maintenance under that section or under that provision. But now we have like one legislation based on which this matters are being decided. Okay, Muslim Women Protection of Rights on Divorce Act 1986. So we again have this, like this personal law which will decide the matter with regard to maintenance that a Muslim woman will be getting after her divorce, right? So under Article 125, she got her maintenance, but now again we have this legislation which will say what all like rights or what all maintenance and other stuff this Muslim women will be getting after divorce. Okay, then there is another case, Shaira Banu case of 2017. And in this case also, right, after I think some 12 years or something of the marriage, her husband divorced her, all right? And like there was this dowry thing involved, okay? The family was basically demanding that you give us some money plus a car also you give. Then her father was not able to afford all that stuff. And there was this domestic violence and everything. And finally, the husband, right, he sent basically like by post, he sent a letter saying talak, talak, talak. Okay, so it basically is like if you pronounce talak 3 times, the marriage gets, like the marriage will end. So when it happened, right, she filed a case saying that this sort of a practice is not valid because otherwise in other laws, right, if you want to get a divorce, you need to apply, like there are some grounds based on which you can apply. You can simply not go to court and say that I want divorce, right? You need to prove those grounds, that based on these grounds I want a divorce, or that both the parties have decided, like mutually we decided to get separated, so accordingly you can ask for divorce. But it's not like simply one day you say divorce, 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 and it's done. But that was applicable in terms of Muslims. So she filed a case saying that this talaq-e-biddat thing is not valid and it should be like considered unconstitutional, basically, right? She said that. Then there is another thing called as nikah halal. Have you heard that? Might be in movies and all, you have seen this thing, nikah halal. Have you heard of it somewhere?
No, madam.
In movies, they usually show this thing. Okay, what it basically is, right? In case of any other, take for example, there are like two persons, okay, husband and wife, they got married, they decided to get divorced, all right, they divorced each other. After that, they again decided that no, we again want to, like be with each other, right? We again want to get married. In that case, for other religions, right, you can again get married, there is no issue in that. But in case of Muslims, what happens, right? Once these like two persons, right, they are divorced, they cannot again get married unless and until this wife got married to someone else, got a divorce from there, and then only she will be basically entitled. Okay, so this is very common thing that is shown in some these things, okay, movies and all, they would show also. So what happens, right, basically wife, it's like violating her rights, right? She just wanted to get married to her husband. There is like unnecessarily this step involved, right, wherein you get married to someone else and then you get a divorce from it, and then you again get married to this person. And in this in between, what happens, right, sometimes this person with whom she would get married might be some cousin, some relative, or someone. This person will say that, okay, fine, now I'm not giving you divorce. In such a case, what happens is this wife, she will be, like in middle of somewhere. She cannot get divorced also, she cannot get married to this person also. So those issues are there. So this case, right, Shaira Banu case, she basically challenged all this stuff, that talaq-e-biddat, triple talaq is like unconstitutional, it should be completely banned. Also, this nikah halal is a very bad thing, that also should be stopped. And also that Muslim men are allowed to have up to 4 wives, that thing is also like not right, that also thing should be stopped. So accordingly, she filed a case. And during this, when the case was being decided, there were different opinions of judges and stuff. They said that, okay, fine, we are for a temporary period putting a ban on triple talaq, let the like parliament decide and stuff. And finally it was considered as illegal, right? If someone pronounces triple talaq now, that person will be given punishment. It's like illegal criminal offense. Okay, so this thing is being done. So like that, it's like so many cases wherein people came forward, fought for it. Those things would not have taken place if we had a uniform law which applied to all the people, right? They would have been able to enjoy same rights and privileges, basically. But what is the problem in introducing this uniform civil code? It is basically like we have so many different religions, right? And all these religions are having their own different laws, right? So in case uniform civil code is being introduced also, which law, which like provisions from which religion will be like taken and which one will be removed, basically, right? So there is that confusion also, that which things to be taken, which things to be omitted. Because of all those things, right, it is still like we are not able to introduce a civil code, right, which is uniformly applicable to everyone irrespective of their religion. So it is being said that we only want to introduce a law which provides same kind of rights and all. Okay, whatever ceremonies are, Whatever other things are, let those things be as it is. Like if like two Hindus want to get married, they can get married based on their own ceremonies, their own functions. No harm in it. But when the matter comes with regard to their divorce, maintenance, child custody, and other stuff, in such cases, we should be having like a uniform law which applies to them. Same will happen for Muslims. They want to do nikah, let them do it. But when the matter comes before court for decision, at that time, same law should be applied. Right? So that basically is the thing with regard to uniform civil code. So we are yet to see some progress regarding it. And this is like a conclusion thing that you can write. Okay, that the uniform civil code, it must try to balance in between protection of fundamental rights and religious rights of individual, because we are being given this religious freedoms also, right? Under constitution also, it's a fundamental right to protect this religious sentiments and stuff. So it has to be like properly balanced in between both the two things, so that our fundamental right to practice, profess, propagate any religion is also not being violated. And at the same time, people are not being discriminated in terms of what right they enjoy based on like religion of the person also, right? So this is with regard to Uniform Civil Code, Article 44 of the Constitution. Okay. So is this part clear?
Yes, madam.
Okay.